Hey, welcome back to Bedtime Blocks. Tonight's story is one of the strangest I've ever told. It's about my wolf. He stared at a wall for 3 days straight, and when I finally looked too, everything changed. Grab a blanket, dim the lights. Let's get into this cabin confession. I thought it was a bug at first. You know how wolves in Minecraft sometimes just sit weird? They glitch out, look in the wrong direction, or stare into a corner when they're on a lead. So when my dog, Flint, walked over to the back corner of my cabin and just sat there, motionless, I didn't think anything of it. Until he didn't move. Not that night, not the next morning, not even when I pushed him, hit him, gently, or rang the bell outside the village I'd built nearby. He just stared. Always at the same 2 blocks, stone bricks in the back left corner of the cabin. Not growling, not whining, not moving, just watching. I broke the blocks. He didn't flinch. Replaced them with oak planks. He stared right through them. Rebuilt the corner in cobblestone. He never turned his head. That's when I realized something was off. This wasn't normal AI pathing. I've played Minecraft long enough to know wolves don't just fixate like that. And Flint was a good dog. Loyal. Follows me into caves, protects me from skeletons, even sits when I feed him a steak. He had been with me since my very first day in this world. And now, for no reason, he was ignoring me completely. On day 3, I tried to move him with a lead. It worked kind of. He walked with me outside the cabin, tail high, acting normal. But the second I let go of the lead, he turned, walked back inside, and sat in the exact same spot. Right in front of that corner. It was as if something was behind the wall. Something only he could see. The sound of Flint's paws tapping softly on the cabin floor echoed louder than it should have. I hadn't noticed before how quiet it was. No mobs outside. No wind rustling leaves. Just him, padding to the corner like he was on a leash pulled by something invisible. I stood there, crouching beside him, and opened F3. Nothing weird. Block light level. Normal. No entities behind the wall. No drops. No signs of a mob or hidden item frame. I even checked for commands. I wasn't on a server. This was my hardcore single-player world, built from scratch. No data packs. No mods. Just vanilla Minecraft and too much free time. I decided to break through the wall. 1 block deep, nothing. 2 blocks, dirt. 3, stone. I kept digging. Flint never moved. I carved out a 3x3 area behind the corner, placing torches as I went. It was just empty space. No cave, no dungeon, not even an air pocket or copper vein. Just solid, boring Minecraft terrain. Except, at the bottom of the space, 5 blocks down, I hit something different. It was deep slate, but not part of the natural generation. It was a single deep slate block surrounded by stone, too high up to be part of the usual layers, and it had no tag, no tooltip when I hovered over it. Just blank. Curious, I mined it. It broke instantly. No drops. And when I climbed back up, Flint was standing, tail down, growling at the hole. The game didn't freeze. The world didn't glitch. But something shifted. I can't explain it. But the lighting in the cabin dimmed, not the brightness slider. Not my monitor, it felt darker. Like the shadows were longer than they should have been. And Flint had moved closer to me. But he wasn't looking at me. He was looking past me. I spun around, sword out. Nothing. Just the hole where the weird deep slate had been. But Flint kept growling, deep, low, and steady. His ears pinned flat, hackles up. He barked once a sharp warning sound and backed away. His eyes never left the hole. I checked my coordinates. This wasn't deep enough for an ancient city or a structure. We were still above y=60. It didn't make sense. I placed cobblestone to patch the hole. The second the last block clicked into place, Flint stopped growling, sat down, stared at it again. just like before. Okay, I thought. Maybe it's a bug. Maybe this is some corrupted terrain generation, a leftover data packet from a previous update. Weird, but harmless. So I logged out, came back the next night. The hole was open again. No blocks had been mined, but where I had sealed the deep slate, the wall was hollow like it had never been filled. My torches were still there, floating awkwardly mid-air, and Flint, still staring. Except this time, his tail was completely down, and there were scratch marks on the floor beneath him. I don't mean textures, I mean grooves, like something had clawed at the floorboards. They weren't there yesterday, and they didn't match Flint's paws. I backed out of the game, checked my files. No external programs, no logs showing edits. I even ran a malware scan. Clean. When I re-entered the world, it was night in-game, pitch black, and the front door of my cabin was open. The front door was wide open. I never leave it open, not in hardcore. I approached slowly, crouched, sword ready. Flint hadn't moved, still staring into the back corner, ignoring the open door like it didn't matter. Like the threat wasn't out there like it was already inside. I shut the door and locked it behind me, even though I knew Minecraft doesn't have real locks. I placed an iron door just to be sure, button on the inside only. Then I turned back to the corner. The hole had grown. What was once a single block of deep slate had become a void-like gap, 4 blocks wide, 3 tall. Still just stone all around, but now the air inside the gap felt heavy. Like even Minecraft simulated physics knew something was wrong. I tossed in a torch. It didn't land, just vanished mid-air, like it was swallowed. And then Flint barked again, a loud, high-pitched, almost panicked sound. He backed away from the corner tail between his legs and sat, facing me this time, whining. I knew that whine. He wanted to leave. I grabbed my flint and steel, my diamond gear, and a full stack of food. Threw down a bed outside the cabin. Set spawn. Even though hardcore doesn't let you respawn. Just force of habit. But I couldn't leave. I had to know what was in the wall. So I stepped forward, crouched, dug into the side. Behind the gap, 5 blocks in, I found a single item frame. No item inside. Just spinning slowly. I right-clicked it. The game froze. Then the screen flickered. When it came back, I was in the same spot, but everything had changed. The air was still, like the moment between thunder and lightning. I stood inside the back of my cabin, but it wasn't my cabin anymore. The walls were warped. The textures were darker, slightly desaturated, as if someone had dropped the contrast in a photo editor. My lanterns gave off dim, reddish light. Torches flickered erratically. And the floor? It creaked. Minecraft floors don't creak. But this one did, loudly. I turned to look for Flint. He wasn't there. I opened the door. The world outside was shrouded in deep gray fog. Nothing rendered past 10 blocks. And not because of my render distance, this was something else. Something built into the world. Like a shader effect I hadn't installed. I walked outside. Every leaf block on every tree was dead. Not decaying dead. They were brown, some even black, and the trunks of the trees were a faded ashen color. The sky wasn't night or day, just a sickly gray void, like the end dimension, but without stars. I turned to go back into the cabin, and the door was gone. So were the windows. Now it was just 4 walls, with no openings. And Flint's barking echoed faintly inside it. Muffled, I punched through the wall in a panic. No drops, just void on the other side. I placed a block to climb in, and the moment I did, the block I stood on disappeared. I fell, not through the world, but through my screen. The game glitched for a full 3 seconds. My monitor stuttered. My fans kicked in like I was running a massive shader mod. And then, I was back in the cabin. Normal again. Torchlight yellow. Flint sitting in the corner. But now, the wall he stared at? It had a single, perfect painting on it. The painting of the wither. And I never placed it. The wither painting stared back at me. It was the default Minecraft one, the weird abstract image of the three-headed boss hovering in a smoky background. I'd seen it before, sure, but I'd never crafted it in this world. Never hung one. And definitely not on that wall. The placement was too perfect. Centered exactly where Flint had stared. Dead middle. No misalignment. As if it had always been there. I tried to remove it. Right-click nothing. Punch nothing. Even a diamond axe enchanted with efficiency V didn't break it. It wasn't client-side. I checked the block data with a debug stick from Creative. Nothing showed up. It was like the game didn't even recognize it as an object. And then came the sound. A low, groaning echo, like the moan of a cave ambience but distorted, reversed. It didn't come from my speakers. It came from inside my headphones, almost like a voice, almost like it said, "Who opened it?" I ripped the headset off, paused the game, hands shaking. I stepped away from the screen, turned on the lights, and stared at my monitor like it might blink at me. It didn't. Minecraft just sat there, paused, peaceful music playing softly in the background, mocking me. I almost didn't go back in, but I had to know, so I resumed. And Flint was no longer staring. He was gone. In his place, where he sat for 3 days straight, was a single dropped item. His collar, floating just above the floor. Still red. Still warm. I picked it up. The game whispered again. Too late. The collar floated in my hotbar like any other item, but I couldn't interact with it, couldn't drop it, couldn't place it, couldn't even hover over it for a tooltip. It was just there. As if Flint had been absorbed into my inventory. The worst part? I could still hear him barking. Not loud, just barely there, like an echo behind the normal game sounds. As I moved, the barking shifted from left to right almost like 3D audio, almost like he was trapped inside the walls. I paced around the cabin, breaking block after block, tearing apart the back corner. Nothing. No Flint. No void. No item frame. Even the painting had vanished. Now it was just a blank stone wall. I placed a sign. Flint? Nothing happened. But when I turned around, just for a second and turned back, the sign now read, "He followed you." I jumped back from my desk. No keyboard input, no plugins, nothing that could have changed it. I broke the sign, replaced it, typed again. Where is he? Turned away, turned back. Behind you. I spun my in-game character around, sword drawn. I was done pretending this was normal. Empty cabin. Until I looked at the mirror, I'd built a decorative trick using a black glass wall framed by quartz to look like a reflection. In the reflection, I saw two things. Me, standing still. A second player behind me. Same skin. No name tag. No armor. Just standing there. Smiling. I whipped around so fast I smacked my mouse into my keyboard. Nothing. Empty cabin. No second player. No skin clone. No Flint. Just me, standing alone with a mirror that lied. I slowly turned my character back to face the black glass. Now it only showed me, but I swear on every block of bedrock in the game I saw it. The copy, the smile. It wasn't just some visual glitch or mod texture. It was me, my skin, but different. The eyes were darker, the mouth wider, like it knew something I didn't. I backed away, heart pounding, even though I was sitting in a room with the lights on and the door locked. I checked the player list still alone, toggled commands. Nothing. The world was pure single player. No cheats, no LAN. I couldn't keep doing this. I saved and quit to the title screen. But when I did, I noticed something off. The background behind the title? Usually, it's a blurred panorama of a world. Pretty normal stuff. But now it was my cabin. Not a similar one. My cabin. The same lanterns. The same door. And in the window, a wolf, staring out, Flint, except he had no eyes, just two pitch-black voids where they should have been, and a single red pixel dripping from his mouth. I sat frozen, watching. Then the single-player button flickered. Just once. So fast I thought I imagined it. But when I clicked it, my save file had changed. The name now read Flint's World, and the difficulty was locked to hardcore, even though it was never supposed to be. I hesitated, hand hovering over the enter key. Flint's World. It didn't say my player name anymore, just his. No version number, no timestamp. And the little preview image? It showed my cabin again, but now it was surrounded by wither roses, hundreds of them. Too many to have planted by hand. I clicked in. The loading screen took longer than usual. No tips, no splash text, just a black bar that dragged itself across the screen at a snail's pace. When the world loaded in, I spawned underground. Deep, stone ceiling, stone floor, no torches, no tools, no inventory, and no Flint. I wasn't in the cabin anymore. I was in some kind of dungeon, but it wasn't a structure I recognized. The blocks were regular stone, sure, but mixed in were odd things. Stairs that led to nowhere, bookshelves that rotated when I got close, and lanterns that flickered on and off like a heartbeat. I walked forward. Every footstep echoed like I was in a cave, 3 times the size of anything I'd ever explored. Then I saw it. A single, small room at the end of a hallway. Inside it, a dog. Sitting, tail down, facing the corner, exactly like before. I crept closer. Flint? He didn't move. The second I stepped through the doorway, the walls slammed shut behind me. Stone bricks spawned in with a thud. My path was gone. And then, slowly, Flint turned around. But it wasn't Flint. It had his body, his name. But the face was all wrong. The mouth opened wide, too wide, and a sound came out. Not barking, not growling, a whisper. He let it out. I didn't move. Neither did he. The thing wearing Flint's name just stared at me, mouth open, emitting that awful whispering noise. It didn't loop like a sound file. It spoke. But the words were broken, shattered into fragments like something trying to mimic speech without understanding it. He let it out. I inched backward, bumping into the sealed wall behind me. No exit, no command bar, no options menu. Even the ESC key didn't respond. I was trapped in this room, face to face with my missing companion, turned into something else. Then, with one sharp twitch, Flint's model jerked to its feet. The name tag above him flickered. From Flint to you, and back again. I did the only thing I could think of. I attacked. Swordless, toolless, I punched the thing that used to be my dog, but it didn't react. No knockback, no damage particles. Just stood there, breathing in that horrible broken pattern. Until suddenly, he bit me. One hit. Full hearts to half. No damage indicator, no red flash. Just me, down to 5 hearts with no explanation. I panicked, placed blocks from my hotbar even though I didn't remember having any. They were all stone bricks, exactly like the ones the cabin was made of. I built a barrier between us. Flint didn't try to climb it, just stood still, behind the wall, tail low, staring at where I'd been. Then another whisper. You broke it. And just like that, he vanished. Gone. Not teleported. Not despawned. Just blinked out of existence like a bad entity. The lights dimmed. The stone bricks cracked around me. And the entire room began to breathe. I don't mean that metaphorically. The walls literally expanded and contracted like lungs. The stone rippled. The ceiling pulsed in sync with some unseen heartbeat. The texture packs weren't changed, but the animations were alive. Every few seconds, I could hear a low thud, like a pulse. Like this dungeon, this place was part of something much, much bigger. And I was inside it. I turned to escape, started punching every block I could. One broke. Behind it wasn't air or stone or even void. It was teeth. A wall of massive, block-sized teeth, gnashing silently, grinding against each other in endless rows like a beast waiting to feed. And in the corner of the screen, a message appeared. "This is not your world anymore." I stepped back in terror, and the teeth vanished. Back to stone, like it never happened. Then my screen glitched. Just for a second, a frame or two, I saw something flash. The cabin, but wrong. Covered in vines, windows shattered, painting gone, blood-red banners draped across the walls. And in the center of it all, my player, standing still, staring into the back corner, exactly where Flint had stared. Then back to the dungeon, no loading screen, just a hard cut. And now, in front of me, was a new path. A hallway that hadn't been there before. At the end, a chest. My heart leapt. Chests meant loot, progress, something familiar. I sprinted to it, cracked it open. Inside were 3 items. 1 lead, 1 bone, 1 book, enchanted, glowing faintly. The book had no title. I clicked to read it. Day 1, he found the corner. Day 3, the dog saw through it. Day 5, the mirror opened. Day 6, he joined us. There was no day 7. Because I was day 7, I slammed the book shut. I didn't want to read more. I didn't want to know more. But the second I did, the chest slammed shut on its own and locked. Iron bars dropped from the ceiling, trapping me in the narrow corridor. I turned, looking for a pressure plate or tripwire, but there was nothing. The walls had shifted again, subtly, like the game was changing the structure around me in real time. Then came the barking. Not Flint's, not anymore. This was deeper, distorted. It echoed in impossible directions, like the sound was bouncing around inside my skull. Left, right, behind me, then directly above. I looked up. A single block of glass now hovered above me, 1 block thick. On the other side of it, in a tiny chamber, Flint. He stared straight down at me. Except now, his eyes glowed white. Like herobrine, I didn't even get a chance to react. My screen started shaking violently, chunks of the world disappearing, reappearing, reforming as if I was caught in a broken end portal animation, a blur of blocks and static. And then, I was back in my cabin. Just like that. Perfectly normal. No dungeon. No creepy whispers. No glitched teeth walls. Just the warm yellow torchlight and my familiar 4 walls. I sat in silence for a moment. Was it all a dream? Then I looked at the back corner. The wall was missing again. The painting gone. And in its place, a mirror. A perfect, full-sized mirror, reflecting everything in the room. Everything but me. I wasn't in it. Flint was. Sitting, staring at me. I stepped closer to the mirror. The room reflected perfectly my chest, the lanterns, the table I'd built from stripped logs. Everything was just how I'd left it. Except me. In the reflection, Flint sat calmly in the center of the room, tail down, head slightly tilted. But no matter how I moved, how much noise I made, how close I got to the mirror, my own reflection never appeared. It was like I didn't exist. Or like the mirror was showing a version of the room where I'd already left. I hovered over the mirror. It wasn't a decorative block. I couldn't select it, couldn't interact with it, until a tooltip flashed, just for a split second. Shift plus right-click to remember. I hesitated. That's not a Minecraft mechanic. But I pressed it anyway. The screen flashed white. When it cleared, I wasn't in my cabin anymore. I was in another cabin. Same layout, same materials. But everything was decayed. Moss-covered floors, cobwebs hanging from the beams, chest lids open and empty, and the walls were lined with signs. Each one had a name. All dogs. Ranger, Bella, Oates, Flint. They were all scratched out, except for the last one, which read, You. That's when I noticed it. All along the back wall, just like mine, sat wolves. Dozens of them. Sitting. Silent. All staring at the same back corner. Each one had a red collar. Each one had a name. Each one had stopped moving forever. Then I saw the newest wolf. It looked like Flint, but he didn't have his name. His tag said, Next. I backed away from the wall of staring wolves. Their heads didn't turn, but their eyes followed me. I didn't hear footsteps. I didn't hear growling, just the deafening silence of that rotting cabin and the faint buzz of void-like air pressing against my ears. Then something changed. One of the wolves' middle row, second from the right, blinked. Not a Minecraft blink, a real blink. The eyelids closed and opened smoothly, organically, too human. Its head twitched toward me, slowly. Its name tag shifted. Next. You are already here. I turned and ran. I didn't know where I was running to. The cabin had no door, no windows, just that mirror behind me and the choking weight of whatever this place was. But after a few seconds of sprinting, I realized something awful. The room wasn't changing. No matter how far I ran, I stayed inside the same rotting cabin. Same wolves. Same wall. Same mirror. The signs on the wall now read, Day 1, you watched. Day 2, you listened. Day 3, you stayed. Day 4, you stared back. I didn't stare. I didn't want to. But I felt my camera turning, like my mouse was moving on its own, slowly, uncontrollably, pulling me back toward that wall, toward the corner Flint had stared at for 3 days straight. And in the center of it now stood a new mirror. This time I was in it. But I wasn't blinking either. My reflection didn't move. It stared back at me with perfect stillness, same skin, same gear, same posture, but its arms were slightly off, too rigid, like a mannequin frozen mid-thought. Then I noticed the eyes. They weren't mine. They were Flint's Lake's plaint's end. Pitch black, hollow, watching me from within my own face. And they blinked, not in sync with my movements on their own. I pressed every key. Nothing. I was paralyzed. My character stuck staring into the mirror, unable to break away. The wolves behind me began to shift, standing up one by one, their heads tilting in perfect sync toward me. Then, above the mirror, glowing letters appeared. Reflection replaced. The screen glitched. Static. A flash of white. And suddenly, I was in my cabin again. Just like before. But something felt off. It wasn't night. It wasn't day. The sky outside was blank, pure white. I checked my inventory. It was full of bones. Exactly 64-inch each stack. I opened the chest near my bed. More bones. Dozens of stacks. Bones and collars. All red. All named. Each item had a name tag. Flint. Ranger. Ghost. Unknown. Mirror me. Every collar had been removed. And then the door opened. Not creaked. Opened. Smooth. Intentional. Like someone was letting themselves in. I turned to face it just in time to see the reflection of myself in the window. Except I hadn't moved yet. I stepped backward, away from the door, watching as my own reflection approached it from the other side of the glass smoothly, silently. It reached for the doorknob. I hadn't touched anything. I opened the inventory screen to pause anything to buy time, but instead of the usual character model in the corner, I saw nothing. Just a spinning collar. Flints. I slammed the inventory shut. The door creaked open, and standing in the doorway was me. Identical in every way but wrong. No player tag. No movement lag. Just empty, dark eyes, and that unnatural stillness. Then it spoke. Not through chat, not in audio. A sign appeared at its feet. I came back, but you're still here. My screen flickered. The world warped again. Now there were two cabins. Split screen. Left side, my cabin. Right side, rotting version. On the left, I stood motionless, watching. On the right, the duplicate version of me stepped into the ruined cabin, and all the wolves looked at him. Suddenly, one by one, their name tags changed. All to player. Over and over again. Player, player, player. Then, slowly, they began to vanish, one by one, until only one was left. It stared into the mirror, then looked directly at me. Its name changed. You. I didn't move. Couldn't move. I watched as the last wolf in the rotting cabin backed away from the mirror, tail low, head tilted as if recognizing me. The flicker in its eyes wasn't code. It wasn't animation. It was conscious. And then it growled. Not at the mirror, at the player beside it. At me. My reflection. In the split screen, the version of me turned. No emotion, no reaction. Just took out a lead, clipped it to the wolf, and pulled it away from the mirror. The wolf resisted. And then the mirror shattered. Both sides of the screen blinked to black. When the game came back, I was alone in the cabin again. No wolves, no mirror, no other me. Just a sign on the wall where the painting had once been. You broke the loop. I stood still, listening. No ambient music. No mob sounds. Nothing but the gentle tick of the clock in my hotbar, something I didn't remember crafting. It ticked once per second. 60 seconds later, I heard a faint bark. Flint. It echoed from beneath the cabin. A place I'd never dug. I equipped a shovel and pickaxe and started digging straight down under the corner he'd stared at. 1 block, then 2, then 10. At Y50, I hit something strange. Deep slate bricks, but not stronghold. No silverfish, no portal, just a single staircase descending, lit only by soul torches. The signs on the wall read, "Only those who stared back may enter." I looked up one last time and descended. The staircase spiraled downward for what felt like hundreds of blocks. There was no HUD anymore, no coordinates, no hunger bar, no tools showing in the hotbar. Just me, walking into the depths with nothing but a flickering soul torch light guiding the path. And then I heard it. Pause. Soft, deliberate, echoing from below. Flint. It had to be him. Flint, I typed. No reply. But the footsteps stopped. I rounded the final turn and stepped into a massive underground chamber, a cathedral made of deep, dark blocks and ancient debris. It shouldn't have generated here. This wasn't bedrock level, but it felt deeper. It felt older. There was a pedestal in the center of the room. On it, a single item floated, spinning slowly in the light. A red collar. I approached carefully, and then behind me, a door slammed shut. Stone bricks formed over the entrance, sealing me in. The moment I stepped onto the inner ring of the chamber, the air changed. My screen dimmed. A heartbeat began to pulse through the speakers, deep, slow, rhythmic. The collar stopped spinning. Then, a name tag appeared above it. Flint, Xe. The torches went out. Total darkness. And from behind me, in the silence, came the sound of a growl. A single line of text flashed in red across the top of the screen. Welcome back to the loop. The growl echoed again, closer this time, but I couldn't see anything. My screen was pitch black. No brightness setting could have helped. I checked the inventory out of instinct, but it didn't open. Nothing worked, no mouse movement, no escape key. I was frozen. And then, out of the silence, came the bark. Sharp, sudden, but wrong. Glitched. It wasn't Flint anymore. A second message blinked in red at the top of the screen. You took too long. The heartbeat grew louder, faster, each thump syncing with the flicker of red light as my screen flashed irregularly brief glimpses of something circling me in the dark. Tall, quadruped, like a wolf, but taller. Too tall. Another flicker, and it was right in front of me. White eyes, dripping mouth, Flint's collar around its neck, but the tag had been scratched out with deep claw-like slashes. Then the screen turned white. I expected to die, but instead I woke up. In the cabin, again. Same torch, same bed, same chest. Except this time, I wasn't sitting at my desk. I was in bed. In-game. Lying down. I couldn't move. My perspective was stuck in first person, staring at the ceiling. The door creaked open. Footsteps. And then a face leaned into view. Mine. My player skin. Expressionless. It leaned in closer, until the screen went black, and the title card returned. Only now, the game was no longer Minecraft. The logo had changed to Cabin EZ. I stared at the new title screen. Cabin.exe. The usual Minecraft background was gone. No rolling terrain, no mellow music, just a static image of my cabin, my real in-game cabin, but with one difference. The back corner? It was gone. Instead, there was a hole, a jagged tear in the wall where Flint used to sit, and through it nothing but black. I hovered over, single player. Clicked. Only one world showed up. Stared too long. Last played. Unknown. Mode. Locked. Difficulty. You. No world seed. No version. Just you. I clicked in. The loading screen didn't appear. I was dropped straight into the world. No HUD. No player model. Just a floating perspective above the cabin, looking down like a spectator, but I couldn't move. And inside the cabin, I saw myself, sitting at a desk, playing Minecraft. The screen on the character's computer showed the cabin. A loop. An infinite loop. Then the game forced my view to rotate, spinning slowly, uncontrollably, until I was upside down. And in the ceiling, where the lantern usually hung, I saw something I'd never placed. A sign. From this angle, it read perfectly. You've always been here. Lightning flashed. Thunder didn't follow. And behind me, from nowhere, came Flint's bark, clear, sharp, and close. Then a whisper, so soft it barely registered in the audio. Sit. My screen turned black again. The black screen lingered for a long time. No sound, no loading, just nothingness. Then a single pixel blinked into the center red, followed by two more white. Eyes. Flint's eyes. They stared at me, unblinking, growing in size with each passing second until they filled the screen. Then snap, they vanished, and the game resumed. I was back in the cabin, standing now. Except I wasn't in control. My character moved on its own, walked to the back corner. Saturday, looked at the wall, exactly where Flint had stared. I tried everything, keyboard, mouse, commands, nothing worked. I was locked inside my own game, my own body, staring at a stone brick wall that pulsed faintly with every heartbeat of the game. Then a new UI element appeared. A timer. Day 1. You are watching. I waited. The game ticked forward. Nothing happened. 10 minutes passed. Then, day 2. You feel it watching back. The wall shimmered, just for a frame, like there was something behind it. Something breathing. Something getting closer. I couldn't move. I couldn't blink. The sound of paws echoed behind me, circling the cabin floorboards. I heard breathing, not from the speakers from behind me. I turned around in real life. Nothing. I turned back to the screen. Day 3. It's here. The stone bricks in front of me began to change. One by one, they darkened, shifting from smooth stone to crying obsidian. The color leaked out of them, like ink spreading through water. The longer I stared, the more the wall bled purple. The timer in the corner updated. Day 3. It's here. 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 1 second. And counting. Each tick of the timer matched a soft, rhythmic thumping like the slow, deliberate sound of footsteps on wooden planks. They were coming closer, from behind me. I couldn't turn. I couldn't move. I could only stare. The wall began to breathe again. Inhale, exhale. The texture warped with each pulse. The crying obsidian stretching like skin over something massive, pushing from the other side. Then a whisper filled the air. Flint is gone. You took his place. My screen blinked. Suddenly, I was in third person. Looking at myself, I was sitting like Flint had, perfectly still, head angled toward the wall. Tail, yes, I had a tail now, resting flat against the floor. My character's name was gone. No tag. Just blank space above my head. And then, a door creaked open behind me. I knew that sound. The front door. A shadow moved across the floorboards, tall, bipedal, but canine. And it stopped right behind me. I heard a soft sniffing noise. Then a whimper. And in the chat, for the first time in this entire nightmare, a message appeared. Flint, I'm sorry. The moment that message appeared, Flint, I'm sorry, the whole world tilted. Literally. The floor beneath me shifted like gravity had turned sideways, and my third-person view spiraled upward into the ceiling as the cabin twisted unnaturally. Blocks bent, beams snapped, furniture floated. The walls no longer followed Minecraft logic. They curved like they were made of cloth, not code. Then it stopped. Silence again. I was back in first person. Still seated, still staring at the wall. But something had changed. The wall was no longer solid. It was now transparent like glass, but warped like looking into water. Behind it was a room, identical to my cabin. And inside that mirrored room was Flint. Tail wagging, eyes normal. He looked directly at me, head tilted with recognition, tongue out. I wanted to move, reach, bark, something. But I couldn't. And then Flint turned his head, looked to the corner behind him, where another version of me Saturday, still unmoving. And that version of me had no face, just a blank head, no features, a smooth, skin-colored void where eyes, nose, and mouth should be. Flint sat beside him, leaned in, waited. The faceless me didn't react. And then the walls began to shift again. The mirrored cabin dissolved. And the transparent wall in front of me displayed something new. Spectator mode enabled. I was no longer the player. I was the watcher. I hovered in midair, weightless, detached, spectator mode. Except I hadn't enabled it, and there was no menu, no hotbar, no world list. Just me, floating above my cabin, the sky around me, a swirl of void-colored fog. The cabin was no longer made of oak and stone. It was obsidian now, and glowing dim purple veins ran through its walls like a beating heart. The back corner, where Flint had stared, now pulsed like the center of the entire structure, like the source of it all. I drifted downward, unable to resist. The game pulled me into the cabin like gravity had been rewritten, and when I phased through the ceiling and dropped into the main room, I saw him again. Flint. Alive. Still, he sat in the same corner. But now, his body flickered like static. Every few seconds, he glitched into a new pose, mid-animation, growling, barking, running, sitting, lying down all at once. His name tag blinked. Flint. Flint.exe. Player. Flint. You. He was stuck in a loop. I tried to move closer, but the world began to crack. Chunks tore open along the seams of the walls. Stone blocks melted into sand. The floor dropped out and returned again in frames, like an unstable redstone clock. And then I heard my own voice. In the game, my real voice. Not a sound file, but a recording of something I had said, days ago, maybe weeks. From when I first found Flint. Who's a good boy? The voice echoed through the cabin. Then the chat popped up again. Flint. I remember. The walls stopped shaking. The room dimmed. And the mirror returned. The mirror stood tall, now taller than before. It stretched from the floor to the ceiling, framed in crying obsidian and soul-fired torches. The glass shimmered like water, undulating with every beat of the low, ever-present hum that filled the cabin. Flint sat in front of it, still flickering, still broken. But watching, I floated closer, helpless in spectator mode, until I was hovering just behind him. For a brief moment, everything felt normal. Like maybe this was it. Maybe I was here to help him. Then, something changed. The mirror flashed. Inside it, I saw another cabin. Not mine, but someone else's. Different layout, different biome, but the same setup, same back corner, same eerie aura, same silence. And in the corner, another wolf. Staring, unmoving. Then the mirror flashed again. Another cabin, then another, and another. Each one different. Each one familiar. Each one had a dog. And each one stared into the same corner. Some cabins were jungle-themed, some underground, some built into mountains or carved from nether brick. But every single one had a dog, and a corner. And behind each mirror, I saw them. The players. The ones who stared too long. Frozen. Watching. Waiting. A new line of text scrolled across the bottom of the screen. There are thousands of you. There is only one Flint. The mirror pulsed with light. Each flicker revealed another cabin, another wolf, another player frozen in time. It felt like I was peeking through thousands of windows into parallel worlds, all with the same glitch, the same corner, the same curse. And I realized something. These weren't reflections. They were recordings. Trapped echoes of players who'd seen too much, like memory shards stored in the game itself. Flint stood, ears low, tail trembling. His body still flickered but less now, like something in him was stabilizing. He turned to face me. Even though I had no physical form, just a floating camera, he stared directly into my viewpoint. His tag stopped flickering, settled on one word: help. Then the mirror shattered. Glass burst outward in perfect cubes, suspended midair. The world broke again. But this time, everything collapsed. The cabin disintegrated block by block. The ground beneath Flint dropped away. He fell, barking not in fear, but calling out. Calling to me. I dove after him instinctively, the screen warping like falling into the end. Everything went black. Then, light. But not the overworld. Not the nether. Not the end. Something else. A void made of stone and code. And in the distance, A giant obsidian wall. A single phrase etched across it in glowing, animated text. The dog remembers. I drifted toward the wall, no control over my speed or angle. As I got closer, I realized it wasn't made of blocks. It was made of screens, hundreds of them, like command blocks with animated faces. Each screen showed a different dog. Each one said a name. Some I recognized. Some I didn't. Some had been mine, in older worlds I'd long forgotten. Dogs I'd lost to creepers, lava, glitches, hardcore deaths. They were all here. And they were staring. Not at me, but past me. I turned, and in the center of the void, hovering in perfect stillness, was a single stone block. On it sat Flint, alive, still, but no longer flickering. He wagged his tail once, then barked softly. A message appeared above his head, scrolling slowly. You came back. You broke the mirror. You remember me. The screens behind me all blinked at once, and suddenly they began to fade. Like memories let go, the void trembled. A new message appeared beneath Flint. We can leave. But then, just before I could reach him, another bark rang out. Deeper, wrong. From below, I looked down. The void cracked. A second version of Flint clawed its way upward, eyes white, mouth gaping, body twitching in all the wrong ways. The corrupted version. The echo, and he wasn't alone. Behind him rose dozens of broken wolves, collars torn, bodies malformed, name tags jumbled into symbols and code fragments. FLN7, L int, user, Tor, null. They circled us slowly. Flint stepped back against me, whimpering. And then the void spoke. A voice unlike anything I'd heard in the game or real life. It sounded like bedrock grinding, like redstone screaming. You left him. Flint barked once loud, defiant, and the world shattered again. This time, when I woke, I wasn't in the cabin. I wasn't in any world. I was at the title screen. But not Minecraft. Not even Cabin. X. Just black. And one white button in the center. Load memory. No other options. I clicked it. Instant load. No delay. Now I was in the woods. Just the woods. Dense oak and birch trees. A soft breeze. Birds chirping. Like the first day of a new world. Inventory. Empty. Hotbar. Clean. I started to walk, and within minutes, I found a small trail torches placed on fence posts. I followed it. After a short while, I reached a clearing. A tiny cabin sat there, made of birch planks and cobblestone. And on the porch, Flint. Real. Not flickering. Not glitched. Just waiting. Tail wagging. Like nothing had happened. I approached him slowly, hand off the mouse, just letting the character move on their own. Flint didn't move until I got close. Then he stood, walked inside. I followed. Everything was quiet. The cabin was normal. No broken walls, no paintings, no mirrors. Just a bed, a chest, and a food bowl made of a cauldron and trapdoor. Flint turned once, made a small circle, and laid down beside the bed. And then the game whispered, "This is your second chance." A command prompt opened in the chat bar automatically. Already typed out, "Sit." I hit enter. My character Saturday, facing the fireplace. And this time, Flint didn't stare at the wall. He stared at me and wagged his tail. The fire crackled softly. No game music, no sound effects. Just the low ambient hum of a peaceful Minecraft night and the soft thud of Flint's tail tapping the wooden floor every few seconds. It almost felt over. Like whatever we'd been through, whatever nightmare loop had trapped us, it had finally let go. I opened the chat, typed, "Name, Flint." Nothing happened. Then, "System, name already taken." Weird. I tried again. "TP Flint. System, he's already here." The world dimmed just slightly. Not enough to be obvious. Just enough that it made me squint. Then the fire in the cabin flickered blue for a moment, just one frame, and returned to orange. And a single message appeared at the top of the screen. "Don't forget him again." For days in-game, nothing strange happened. I chopped wood, tended crops, went mining, and Flint was always there. No glitches, no static, no flickering eyes or signs in the corner. He barked when mobs got too close, Saturday by the fire at night, slept by the bed. It felt like a fresh start, but something lingered. I noticed it first in my dreams, real dreams, not in-game. Every night I'd see the mirror again, that horrible corner, but instead of myself, I'd see Flint staring into it. And sometimes, just before waking, I'd hear my own voice whisper, "Don't stop watching." In-game, the corner of my new cabin never behaved strangely, but I started noticing small things. Wolves in the distance staring toward it, random obsidian blocks spawning near it during thunderstorms. And once, in the middle of a quiet night, Flint sat up, walked over to the corner, and just stared. For 30 full seconds. Then he came back to bed. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I broke the back corner of the cabin. There was nothing there. No void. No glitch. Just dirt. But when I stepped outside, I noticed something chilling. The sun wasn't moving. I slept through the night, but when I woke, the sun was exactly where I left it. I built a clock. It didn't spin. Just stayed locked. Time had stopped. The world was frozen. I turned back toward the cabin, and in the window, Flint stared out. Expressionless. Still. A sign now stood beside him, even though I hadn't placed it. He never left. I re-entered the cabin. It was completely dark. The fireplace was gone. No Flint. Just a single item frame on the floor. Inside it, a name tag, labeled, "You." I tried logging out. The save didn't appear. Minecraft returned to a blank screen. No exit button. No alt-tab. No escape. I was stuck. Trapped. The last thing I saw before everything blinked to black was Flint standing in the doorway watching me. Not sad. Not angry. Just disappointed. The game finally crashed. Back to desktop. No error code. Just one new file on my computer. On my desktop, named corner.txt. I opened it. Inside, one line. "Don't stop watching." I deleted the file. Didn't even hesitate. I thought that was the end of it. A spooky glitch. A leftover mod I forgot about. A long, sleep-deprived night making Minecraft feel haunted. But the next time I booted up the game, Flint was gone. Not dead. Not missing. Gone. No world save. No chat history. No recent worlds. Only one option on the menu. Confess. I clicked it. The game opened directly into the cabin. No HUD. No controls. Just the camera spinning slowly in a circle inside the room, as if recording the final footage of a documentary. The corner was empty. A sign sat on the floor. "What did you see?" Then the screen faded. Black again. A new sound played. A low, steady breathing. And then barking. Not one bark, dozens. Hundreds. Flint and others. All of them. The loop never ended. My screen slowly lit back up. This time it wasn't Minecraft. It was video. Real video. A distorted clip my room. My face. sitting at the computer, playing, frozen, eyes wide open, mouth slightly parted, staring straight ahead, unmoving. Then static cut across the screen. A shadow passed behind me in the footage, and the video glitched. My real mouse shook. My real lights flickered. The reflection in my screen changed. It was Flint again, behind me, watching, waiting. Keep watching. He's still waiting. You still owe him. I unplugged everything. Hard shutdown. Turned off the PC. Threw the flash drive out the window. Tried to forget. And for a while, I did. Weeks passed. I played other games. Deleted Minecraft entirely. But some nights, when it's quiet, when the house creaks and the breeze howls just right, I still hear him, whimpering, outside the walls, just like before, like he's still sitting, still staring, waiting for me to come back, to watch. I caved, re-downloaded the game, started a brand new world, different seed, different biome, different everything. Built a new cabin, far from spawn, in a forest I didn't recognize. And I made a promise. No dogs, no wolves, no corners, just survival, just peace. And it worked. For a while, until one night, I opened the door to my cabin, and there he was, sitting, staring, same color, same red tag, same name, Flint. I didn't tame him, didn't feed him, didn't look him in the eyes, just walked away, logged out, told myself it was random generation, a coincidence. But every time I came back, Flint was closer. First outside the fence, then by the crops, then on the porch, then inside, sitting in the back corner. Same block, every time, no matter how many times I moved the cabin, changed the seed, changed the world. He always found the corner, and he always stared. I gave up fighting it. One night, I sat beside him. In the corner, no movement, no mouse. Just let the game idle. And together, we stared. Hours passed. Sun rose, set, moon came and went. But still, we stared. At the blank, empty wall. Until finally, the wall blinked. A single word appeared. Thanks. And Flint turned to look at me. Then he wagged his tail. Once, and vanished. No sound. No particles. Just gone. After Flint vanished, the game saved automatically. No pause. No prompt. Just that subtle bottom corner text. Saving world. And then, silence. The cabin felt emptier than it ever had. Not spooky. Not haunted. Just quiet. Still, I stood up from the corner and walked to the front door. The sky was cloudless. The world was peaceful, as if whatever had haunted this place had finally left with him. I opened the chest. Inside was one item, a bone, renamed Thank You. I left it there. I didn't take it. Some things you don't need to carry. Some things just need to stay behind. I wandered, left the cabin behind, traveled thousands of blocks, built a new home above an ocean, bright, open, no corners, no shadows. But I left a single sign in the center of the new base. It said, he was a good boy. I never saw Flint again. Not in game, not in dreams, but sometimes when the fog rolls in, when the torches flicker just right, I think I hear pause, just for a second, and I smile, because I know he remembers, and I still do too. Weeks passed, then months. I moved on. New worlds, new adventures. But I kept the old cabin file, just in case. And one day, curiosity got the better of me. I opened it, expecting peace, closure. But the cabin was different. It was empty. No torches, no signs, no bed, except for one thing. In the back corner, an item frame. Inside, a collar, Flint's collar, still red, still warm. I didn't take the collar. I left it in the frame, but I did place a sign beside it. Still watching. That night, the game updated itself. I didn't click anything. It just ran. When I opened it again, a new splash screen appeared. One final stare. I entered the world. Cabin gone. Wolves everywhere. Dozens, hundreds of them. All sitting in a perfect circle. Staring inward. At a mirror. The only object left in the world. I stepped into the circle. Faced the mirror. And saw them. All the versions of me. All the days. All the loops. Flint at the center. Waiting. I walked toward him. He stood. His tail wagged. And then, for the first time, the mirror cracked on its own. One large fracture, splitting it down the middle. Light poured through. So bright it hurt to look. I shielded my screen with my hand, like that would somehow help. And Flint walked into the light, disappearing into the glow. The rest of the wolves followed, one by one, some limping, some bounding, some just crawling. But all of them went through. And finally, I followed. On the other side, nothing, just white, blank space, until I saw the cabin again. But not mine, Flint's drive, made of dark oak, small, cozy. Inside, a fireplace crackled. A dog bed waited, and a bowl sat full of steak. I stepped in. Flint was already there. He barked once, Saturday beside the fire. And for the first time ever, there were no mirrors, no corners, just comfort and peace. That world saved automatically too, but it didn't call itself Minecraft. The world name? Closure. I never touched it again. Never needed to. Sometimes I'd scroll past it in the launcher. Think about clicking, but never did. It wasn't about replaying. It was about remembering. You ask me why I never tamed another dog, why I never kept another wolf. Now you know. Because Flint was never just a pet. He was the memory, the glitch, the guard dog on the edge of something bigger. Something that watches all of us and waits to be seen. So if you ever build a cabin and you ever tame a wolf and it walks to a corner and it sits and it stares, don't try to stop it. Don't break the wall. Just sit beside him and stare too, because maybe it's not broken. Maybe he's just watching something you're not ready to see yet. This is my confession. My world. My wolf. My corner. You don't have to believe me. But one day, when it happens to you, when your dog picks a spot and never moves again, you'll remember this story. And you'll know he's not staring at nothing. He's staring at everything. And that's when it begins. The loop, the silence, the stare. Thanks for staying through the story. If your Minecraft dog ever stares into the corner, maybe just let him. Don't forget to like, comment what story you want next, and hit subscribe so you never miss another creepy tale from the cabin. Sweet dreams. Bedtime Blocks, signing off.